Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about the growth mindset, a presentation to enable parents to help children learn successful strategies for learning by Monica Shukla. No failure is final. I'd like to read the famous words of Michael Jordan summed up in a 1997 Nike commercial. He said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. We are going to learn more about the growth mindset. Let's keep an open mind for some wonderful suggestions to help our children grow. Life is a journey, and on this track, there are many ups and downs we face. If we have strategies to work with, we can enjoy the ride better. You're either smart or not. This statement is not true because intelligence isn't an either or game. The notion that your intelligence is fixed and limited is not correct. Neuroscientists and latest research proves that you can improve with effort. In growth mindset, we learn that our intelligence is flexible. We need to put effort and perseverance to understand a subject. To learn something that is difficult in the classroom or outside, students need to apply themselves and work hard, which is also called the productive struggle. Give students or children the time to go through the productive struggle because it leads to understanding, it makes learning goals feel attainable, and it makes the effort worthwhile. It also gives results. And finally, it leads students to feeling empowered and creates a sense of hope. So, along the way, encourage children to try harder and seek solutions, whether it is a life problem or a math problem. And one of the tools you can use as parents is reasoning games. There are a lot of reasoning games that can be used to help children get better at learning. Reasoning or learning games can help children develop a lot of important learning skills. Some important ones are brain teasers and puzzles. So give your child the opportunity to play around with these, and it is going to build them up and create better learners. One such game is Brick by Brick. It is an interesting, simple game that helps build critical thinking. It is made up of a few plastic pieces that you can use to create different shapes. These brain teasers help children stretch the brain as they work with these shapes. The company Think Fun makes many other interesting games like block by block, shape by shape, square by square. As you assemble these shapes, the goal is to create certain different items. And these games help increase cognitive function, it improves memory, and it also helps build strategic planning inside a child's brain. So give these brain teasers and learning games a chance. Another such game is Rush Hour, which is built on a small little board, and on that are cars which are uh, stuck together. And the aim is to get a car out to a clean open space. And that is a great game to help children build their critical thinking and just build better skills. What is a growth mindset? Dr. Carol Dweck, professor of psychology at Stanford University, in her book Mindset: The New Psychology of Success in 2006, coined the term growth mindset and explained that the brain is like a muscle, so intelligence and talent can be developed with persistence and effort. Some examples of areas we can improve are driving a car, singing a song, or cooking a new dish. The focus of a growth mindset individual is on the process of learning, not on just looking smart. We have got to believe and take action. The way we think about learning can change the way we do it. Our belief can lead us to take action, and action can further us in growth. So, belief is fuel. Though we know our mind may fluctuate between different states, there are benefits to go about with a growth mindset. And they are: if you do have a growth mindset, you will be more likely to start whatever the task you are invested in. You will be more likely to stick to the task or the goal that you are headed towards. Also, a growth mindset ensures that the student is likely to stay hungry and to keep succeeding and keep trying. So, how do we build a growth mindset? A growth mindset can be built by being reflective, by giving yourself credit and building yourself up. It is also built by learning new stuff. When you learn new stuff, might be to write poetry or to plant a garden, this new stuff will build uh, a better growth mindset in you. And the third part is neuroplasticity. We do know that the brain changes and the brain grows. And with learning more new and different things, we are giving a good supply of growth mindset to the brain. So, parents, please try these concepts and tips with your children in their journey to become better learners. Concepts of a growth mindset. There are four components to ensuring a child would develop a growth mindset. I'm going to read each one of these and explain the four components. The first one is equitable access to learning opportunities to students. Ongoing informal assessment and observation should allow for students, not just those with already developed abilities, but to have access to and participate in advanced learning opportunities. This can be a teacher facilitated small group work within the classroom that offers children advanced work in different subject areas. The next point is cultivation of psychosocial skills in perseverance and grit. Children need to be taught what hard work and perseverance and resilience can lead to. Development of these psychosocial skills should be part of the classroom climate and discussed across every content area. And it must be modeled daily by the entire school and class. Students can self evaluate and make plans for improving and tracking their growth in these skills. They can then make a conscious effort to improve their ability to bounce back after a less than successful performance or failure to master a new concept. Building these skills teaches students to come back after there has been a setback. The number three point is student understanding of neural networks. Having an understanding of how the neurons in the brain work and connect helps students to become better learners. When students reported that visualizing the neural connections helped them to concentrate better and know that they are learning harder material and getting better at whatever the new subject or concept is. The next point is growth mindset, feedback, and praise. This is a really important component of building a growth mindset. The children need to be provided feedback and praise when they select different tasks to conquer and try new strategies when learning a concept. And children can be encouraged to understand the concept of not yet. They might not understand a problem today, but it isn't the end of the world. Tomorrow is another day, and not yet opens up possibilities of learning and hoping and dreaming. Another area important in the growth mindset is mistakes. Mistakes are the stepping stones to success in your journeys. The first kind of mistake we will talk about is the stretch mistake. These occur when we are doing something that is beyond our normal comfort level, when we are embracing a challenge. It is good to make stretch mistakes. If we don't, we are going to be risk averse. The next kind of mistake is the aha moment mistake. These mistakes happen when we achieve what we want to achieve, but then realize that we didn't have all the information. For example, when we make incorrect assumptions, where we try to help someone else, thinking that help is always welcome, but we find out that the person did not want help at this moment. The next mistake is a sloppy mistake. These kind of mistakes are done when people are performing tasks that they already do in routine, but because of being hurried or distracted, they commit a mistake. The last mistake is high stakes mistakes. These are life threatening situations or performance based mistakes. For example, a student who has worked his entire educational career so that he can get into a top Ivy League college and needs to do well on the SAT, or a surgeon performing a life saving surgery. These are considered high stakes events. So, on the journeys that our children are taking to learning and becoming successful individuals, let's learn to embrace the mistakes and failures because without them, no journeys are complete. As we gain more insight into the growth mindset, let me give you a little tool, a visualization tool that you can use with the children to help them understand how the neurons in the brain grow when they learn something new and how the neurons become stronger with the more they practice. Think of a forest and think of paths that lead into the forest. There are no paths and no plants that have been trampled on, nothing to lead the way. A new neural pathway is like walking through an unexplored forest for the first time. The more frequently the path is used, the fewer the barriers and obstacles that stand in the way. Eventually, a clear path is created. That clear path represents a clear understanding of the content being taught. Feel free to share this with your children so they have an insight into how really the brain is processing and grasping the new information that they need to learn. Let's look at the next slide, which tells us about the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. I'm sure each of you will recognize some of the statements that you might have heard over and over again for a long period of time. And we will discuss the fixed mindset and the growth mindset, and we are going to try to set in these new, fresh ideas for learning so we can enable our children to be more open minded with their studies and learning. So let's see. The fixed mindset, one example, someone might say that some kids are born smarter. But with research, we know that is not true. And our growth mindset tells us that all children have the capability to succeed. Another example, some of you might heard, where people say, not everyone can learn new things. Well, we are here to challenge this. The growth mindset idea believes it is possible with effort and persistence to learn new things at any age. Another example I'll read says, skills are something you are born with. Yet again, we can disprove that fixed mindset because our skill set can be built over time. It depends on where we put our effort and energy. Just as for kids, too. The last one, I'm sure we all have heard it many, many times. And it says, you're either a math person or not. But our growth mindset disagrees. And the belief system here says, with effort, anyone can improve. It just so happens that people stop trying over time and get stuck in their little comfort zones. The idea is to add some more grit and perseverance and put in effort, and then you see the results. I would like to share some ideas on how we can develop grit in children. Grit, or a resilience to keep going. The first one says establishing the environment. Both physical and psychological components of learning environments should be considered. So, when a child is learning, it's good to be sitting in a comfortable, well lit, bright area so the learning can happen comfortably. Psychologically, the learning community communicates the value of grit and tenacity. And this is a great resource to have for children to practice it as they are growing up. The next one is setting expectations. The expectation that the school and the parents set for the child is where the child will be headed. So set high standards. Another one is teaching the vocabulary. It's not just enough to tell a child what grit means. It's very important to explain the whole concept and for the child to grasp the real meaning of grit. Another important component of this is creating frustration. It says children must be given opportunities to struggle. We went over the productive struggle a few slides back. So, children need to be challenged, they need to be given those situations where they can keep going. Another important point to keep in mind is to monitor the child's experience. We need to pay close attention to the students as they approach the zone of frustration. There is a fine line where a child may say, "This is getting hard," to "I quit." With correct guidance and encouragement, each child is capable of achieving great things in life. And the last point we can keep in mind is reflecting and learning. Talk to your child after they have gone through a challenging experience. Find the nuggets for what did they learn from that experience and keep them in your memories so you can go back to that as and when you need it. Let's look at a common phenomena we might hear children repeat sometimes. Overcoming the "I'm not smart" trap. A lot of children may fall into it. But as parents and educators, now that we know about a growth mindset, we can encourage them and tell them that they can surprise themselves with trying a little harder. We do know that the brain can be rewired, and with effort and perseverance, all that is possible. Neuroplasticity is also a component which tells us that the brain has a plastic quality that it can be changed, and so our intelligence doesn't need to be fixed. We put in more effort and we can grow in any area we want. And one most important thing to remind children is that with time, challenges do become easier. Do you remember when you learned how to ride a bike for the first time? Do you recall the first day you may have required training wheels or someone to hold the bike from behind? Over time, with repetition, you got better and better at riding your bicycle. Slowly, your speed increased and your balance improved. Your brain was getting rewired. And eventually, with enough time and practice, You mastered the art of riding your bicycle without any help. And that is just the way we go about learning anything. For example, if we have math problems that a child may have difficulty doing, let's start solving one and two and then slowly building up our practice stamina. And you will see improvement in that area. Let's look at what exactly is neuroplasticity. The brain has a plastic quality to it, and hence the name neuro, which comes from the word neuron, and plasticity from the fact that the brain can rewire itself and adapt. This is a lifelong process. Simply put, the more we practice, the better we get. The better we get. Think of a time you had to learn long division or learn how to ride a bike. The more effort you put, the better you got. Till a decade ago, neuroscientists believed that after childhood, the brain was fixed in its ways. But latest research has proved otherwise. It believes the brain keeps growing with different experiences throughout the course of one's life. The different things that affect the brain are behavior, environmental stimuli, thought, emotion, and learning. All these factors can cause neuroplastic or stimuli changes. So, the good news is that our learning and intelligence needn't be stuck. We can always improve with effort and hard work. Simply put, just the way we use different exercises to tone and build up muscle in the body, in the same way, with lots of practice, we can build up any area of the brain too. The idea to keep in mind is you can be better next week if you just try a little more. As we go about the business of learning, we need to remember that the brain is a flexible muscle. It is made of the left side and the right side. Some of the areas that the left brain controls are logic, linear, analytical, scientific thinking, practical, mathematics, and strategic. Some of the areas that the right brain controls is feelings, senses, art, creativity, poetry, passion, imagination. As we live and succeed, every human being uses both sides of the brain to get any task accomplished. Almost coming to the end of our presentation, it's important to remember that facing failure is also a big lesson in life and learning. So, failure and success or growth are two sides of the coin. Many famous people like Albert Einstein, Walt Disney, Oprah, and Bill Gates failed many, many times. But the important thing is they didn't give up. And as Scott Fitzgerald said, never confuse a single defeat with a final defeat. Last of all, I would like to leave you telling you that our brain is amazing and that did you know The human brain is far more powerful than a computer. So let's keep that in mind as we keep growing and learning and teaching our children. During learning and living life, take time out to daydream. Yes, to daydream. That is productive dreaming. For example, Thomas Edison didn't start out thinking about the light bulb. He productively daydreamed for how he wanted to light up the planet Earth at night. In this productive struggle of his, he conducted experiments 9,000 times before he created the simple light bulb and was able to beautifully light up the planet at night. On this note, I will leave you all with good luck and good wishes for building a growth mindset. Thank you. I'm going to be recording. Wait 2 minutes.